What's going on, and welcome back. Man, we are at it again today, working on the 73 Nova LS swap. Now today is kind of bittersweet, I guess you could say. So we're going to talk about the fuel injection on the Nova. I've decided that I'm going to rip it out. Yes, I'm ripping it out. I am ripping out the fuel injection, but not the complete fuel injection. Let me explain what I'm talking about. Let me first show you how the car is set up, and then I'll tell you what I'm going with. We'll go from there. Okay, so as most of you know that watch the channel, the car is set up with pretty much stock fuel injection. It's got stock injectors. It's got a stock type intake manifold, but it's a Trailblazer SS intake. We do have a couple aftermarket parts on here. The fuel rails are aftermarket, the throttle body is aftermarket, and of course the air induction. But other than that, we're working with stock electronics. Now let me show you in the fender here. As you have seen before, we had a bunch of wiring that I had to go through, and I spent actually several days on cleaning up this wiring. Yes, it still kind of looks like a mess, but I had to go through some of it, or go back through some of it. I did have it in wire loom, and it was all nice and neat. As you can see, the PCM is up there. The standalone little fuse box and relays is right there. I got to thinking about this, and this will require custom tuning. I'll have to either take it to a dyno or do mail order tuning or something like that. Now, unfortunately, with the mail order tuning, I would need a wideband O2 sensor. We don't have that. It is using the stock truck type O2 sensors, but they are not wideband. So I would have to invest in a wideband O2 sensor, and then the cost of the tuning, and so on, so forth. Dyno tuning, I would expect to be about the same price after it's all said and done, after getting the wideband and all that stuff for mail order tuning. So I'm thinking it would be around $500–600 just to get the car tuned. And then if I need to make any changes, guess what? Retune or back to the dyno, whatever, what have you. So I made a decision. I thought about this for quite some time, and I decided to rip out the OEM fuel injection, the electronics part of it, meaning the PCM, the wiring, all that stuff. It's coming out. It's got to go. Don't want them anymore. Because I don't want the headache of having to constantly spend money if we make changes to the car. Even something slight like maybe a tire height change or a gear change, or something like that. I don't want to have to keep paying to have the tune redone. So I made a decision, and we are going with the Holley Terminator X engine management system. Yes, we're going with the Holley Terminator X. It is going to allow us to tune it ourselves, or it can also self-learn, which is a really cool feature, which I'm looking forward to. We may try that at first until I can learn how to do this stuff as far as tuning it on my own. So that's what we're going to do at first. We're going to get the system on there. We're going to get the car cranked up and have it ready to go for when the car is on the ground. We're going to be ready to drive it. And from what I understand, everybody says, man, the system is great. There are some issues as with everything, but they seem to be minor and the system seems to work really well. So I'm really excited about this. It comes with a handheld unit that we can monitor all kind of stuff. It's got outputs for fans, AC cutoff, all the stuff that I need that honestly were not in the factory PCM. For one, the fans wasn't there because it had a mechanical fan. So I'm not sure what I even would have done about that. So anyway, I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna start ripping this stuff out of here. It's gotta go. And man, maybe we'll be able to get the wiring for the Terminator X. Maybe we'll be able to get most of that plugged in. It should be just routing it, a couple zip ties, plug and play into the sensors that are already there. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure, but let's get into it. Let's get to ripping this thing out. So there you go. The factory type OEM standalone harness is gone. It's out of there. So what I'm going to do now is grab the Holley kit and we're going to look through some of the stuff that's in the kit and maybe start getting that harness put on the car and then take a look at where I can put the PCM that comes with the Holley kit. So let me grab that and man, we'll get busy and put that in. All right, so real quick, I wanted to show you the basics of the kit, what you get with the Terminator X. This is the PCM. Comes with a 1-bar map sensor inside. That's what you hook up here to this vacuum line. Then we have got what it looks to be the main power harness here. And we've got the wideband O2 sensor. Then we've got the fuel injection harness, or the fuel injector harness, injectors, whatever you want to say. Then you've got the main harness here, and you've got the handheld, and then you've got the connector, the little harness for additional outputs. So we'll be using this for fans and AC cutoff and stuff like that. But that's the gist of it. That's what you get. Pretty simple, and hopefully just as simple to plug in and get everything connected, but let's start connecting it. All right, so in my normal fashion, I did a lot of work off camera, and basically I've installed a lot of the new harness. I didn't want to bore you guys with some kind of long time lapse or, you know, just long drawn out installing a harness. It's basically just routing. Plus it takes a lot of time. You know, I didn't want to have to go through a ton of footage just to show you a few clips when I can just kind of give you the somewhat final results of running the harness. So anyway, let me show you where everything's routed, get a look at it, and see what you guys think. We'll start over here on the passenger side. You can see the fuel injection harness, actually the colored wires there. I got to do something with that because, I mean, I don't know why they didn't run covering all the way up to the plugs of the fuel injectors. I don't know, but I don't like that. I don't like being able to see that. It looks out of place. But everything else doesn't look too bad over here. You can see the new harness there. And down back to there, if you can see that shiny wire, that is running to the crank sensor down below there. Then there's really not much else to see here on the passenger side. But then we'll move over to the driver's side, and you can see a little bit more. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the coil plug here, this part of harness. I don't like it going over the rail. Maybe I can fish it underneath the rail so you don't see all that. I'm kind of hoping I can do that. I don't know. I don't know if there's room to get that connector through there. But yeah, so there's that. Then we got the wires running up to the TPS and idle air control. This one is going to have to go to intake air temp sensor, which I don't have because the one that comes with the truck is in the mass air meter, which is in this guy. So I'm going to have to figure something out, maybe install something in the intake tube once I figure out how I'm going to run this. I don't know. But then we've got the coolant temp sensor wire running down here. And as you can see, things are kind of in the back there. And the main part runs down. Let me get you under here. And you can see that's the big main harness there. Runs through the firewall through that hole there. And then coming out of that hole, which is sitting on my head, is the power harness part of it, which is this guy hanging down right here. That, I left some slack there. That's going to go up. No worries there. That's going to go up in the fender well. These wires here, I'm not sure if I'm going to use some of these. This goes to the fuel pump, so I'll definitely be using that. But other than that, there's nothing else there. So that's cool. But let's see. So I don't know if you can see it, but that power harness, there you go. It's running between the radiator and the condenser and running over here to right there, those two wires. You got to run those straight to the batteries, the power and the ground. Holley does not just recommend it, but they say that's what you need to do. So that's run. Let's go inside the car real quick and see kind of my idea of how I'm going to do this. Now, it looks like a mess in here. Obviously, lots of wires everywhere, but here are the ends of the harness. This is for the power. This is for the other harness. What I'm thinking is mounting the PCM to the back of the glove box, which basically it'll sit inside here like this. When you open the glove box, it flips down because there are LED lights on the PCM that you may need to look at to see if there's any troubles with it or anything, you know, stuff like that. So the only thing about that is it is extremely short here. I mean, I got my hand in the glove box area. I mean, it's about a hand's width. Now the PCM is not big, but I'm hoping that once, you know, when it's sitting open, it's actually going to sit on top of this little piece here. But when it's closed and it's sitting back like this, I just don't want a bunch of wires hanging down. I don't know. I'm going to have to figure that out, but that's my idea. And that's why I got everything run over here. But that is going to do it for this one. That's about as far as I'm going to get today because it is freezing cold. I don't know if you can see my breath out here, but it is cold, man. Had my heater running, but I had to disconnect the fuel line at the fuel rail because it was completely in my way, trying to reach the back of the head to attach a ground. There's 2 grounds, 1 on each head. You got to make sure you attach those. That is a must. And I had to move the fuel line out of my way, fuel line and the gauge, everything out of my way so I could get my hand back there. So needless to say, the rail emptied on me, and now, you know, it's not good to have a propane heater running with gas fumes. So anyway, I had to turn it off, and yeah, so it's time to call it a day. It's getting a little late. I'm ready to go in, relax a little bit. So, but that's gonna do it. We got a good start on the Holley Terminator X, and it doesn't look like it's gonna be too much more complicated. We'll see. I know I'm gonna have to run some wires for the fan, the AC, stuff like that. Definitely for the power wires, but that's no big deal. But it's pretty simple. I don't like the routing so much of the main harness, but it's not set up for my car, or it's not set up for our car. You know, it's set up to be universal. Now, if I was going through the firewall right behind the engine, I don't know, maybe that would be better. But either way, I do have enough length of wires, which is good. So yeah, I don't have to lengthen anything or anything like that. So, but we'll make do. I'll tidy it up. I don't like those colors sticking out, the fuel injectors. But anyway, now I'm rambling, so I'm just gonna shut my mouth and go inside. But we're making progress on the Nova. We'll get there. But more wiring to do later on. Hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And we'll see you on the next one.